Welcome back to the YouTube channel. I furnished my room since you guys have last seen it, and I built a bookshelf specifically so that it could be seen in this video, but I just realized now that I'm sitting right in front of it. I'm not going to change it, I just thought you guys should know, you know. Just wanted to go over two things. One, if you're not following me on Letterboxd already, you definitely should. I always review movies right when I watch them. You can get a little bit of insight right before I actually review it on this channel, get some of my little bits in. Second thing, I just started streaming on Twitch again. Yay, my main thing. So if you're interested in clips like this, I don't think I want to do this again, by the way. This is a little bit too laggy for me. Thoughts on Euclid's fifth postulate? I can't believe you're asking me that right now. What the fuck? Then definitely go and check it out. For my Twitch subscribers, actually, I'm starting bi-weekly movie nights. So if you'd like to be involved in some of the movies that you will eventually see in these lists, please subscribe over there. Twitch Prime, normal sub. Otherwise, greatly appreciate it. Let's get into the movies. First up, I watched Identity Thief. I was home with my family over the holidays. We were watching a lot of these types of movies, as I kind of went over in my last recap. I had seen Jason Bateman in Game Night the week before. I'd seen Melissa McCarthy in The Heat the week before. And then we watched this. And it's basically the same movie as The Heat, if it was less funny and worse written and not as charming. I don't care about any of the characters. I think T.I.'s in it. I really don't even remember. I remember a lot of the movies I watched this month. This one has not resonated with me at all. Not worth your time whatsoever. Super boring. Not that funny. Watch another comedy, dude, please. Thankfully, the next day, I watched Gone Girl. I love Gone Girl. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I'd even consider it one of my top 10, top 5 favorite movies of all time. Love rewatching it. My sister hadn't seen it. I was glad to show it to her. It's one of those very few movies for me that's like over the length of 2 hours that really holds my attention the entire time. I had to get up and leave and pick up dinner in the middle of it, and I was heartbroken. We were in like the last hour, and I was so ready to just get down into it, but I couldn't finish it. We had to start it over at the hour mark, and it was fantastic. I love the acting in this. I love the perfect casting choices they made for everybody in this movie. Neil Patrick Harris, Tyler Perry, Rosamund Pike is fantastic. People don't talk about how great Ben Affleck is in this movie. It's just a perfectly executed version of an already well-designed story. Gillian Flynn is one of the best writers of the 2010s. I actually have read 2 of her books over this past month, and she's just a fantastic writer. Perfect person to adapt it was Fincher. The dialogue is lovely. The pacing is fantastic. The tension is perfect. The shots are beautiful. And the way that everything builds up to this huge climax is fantastic. Watch it if you haven't already. It's one of those thrillers that only comes along every once in a while, so absolutely worth your time. You want to read the book? Read the book. It's great. Discourse around this movie kind of crazy, though. That's all I'll say about that. Give it a watch. And I watched Birdman. Birdman was prefaced to me by my parents as one of the only movies they've ever wanted to walk out of in the theater. And then it proceeded to win Best Picture at the Oscars, and they could not stop talking about how terrible it was. And I've heard other people say that it's great. And I found it to be somewhere in the middle. It was a good watch. I don't think it's persisted or like stuck with me as much as I thought it would after watching it. I love the performances in it. Specifically, Michael Keaton is really good. Edward Norton's great as per usual. I like the symbolism behind everything, and I don't like really know how to properly explain it. It's one of those movies where I just kind of was like, oh, I get what they're trying to say. You know what I mean? I don't think it was a spectacular representation or whatever they wanted to say. It was a bit pretentious. I understand why my parents didn't like it, and I understand why a lot of people thought that it was trying to do a little too much. You know what I mean? The camera techniques are really cool. I'm into what they're trying to do, and I like the way that it looks. I don't necessarily think that it's groundbreaking in the way that people have said it is, but it was a great movie, and I had a good watch. If you're looking for something that talks about the entertainment industry in a way that you're not really used to hearing about, definitely give this one a watch. And then I watched Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Believe the hype. It's that good. I went with my girlfriend, and we were both kind of like on the fence. We were like, Puss in Boots, you know, everybody's been talking about it. We didn't really think it was going to be all that everybody was saying it was going to be. And it was. I was genuinely taken aback by how this moved me. It was really great. The The messaging behind it is super cool. I think it's really easy to grasp if you're a child or if you're an adult. It's really easy to enjoy. The animation is lovely. The only thing that I can compare it to is something like a Spider-Verse, like in the way that it was just so well designed. All the scenes that people are telling you are great. The final fight scene, the opening sequence with Puss in Boots, like with the village, is fantastic. And the character development between everybody is also very interesting. I like the way that they tackle the concept of fear and dying, which is something that I often think about a lot. I thought it was a really good way of introducing that concept to children and also kind of expanding on it for people who've been thinking about it. It's just so well done. I had a great time watching this. Go and take your family to see this. Take your girlfriend, your mom, your sister, your brother. Just enjoy this. It's one of those movies you can sit back and just have a good time with. So, absolutely worth the hype, believe it. Then I rewatched Moonlight, and this is my first time seeing it probably in a year. I've watched this like 3 or 4 times already. I wanted to show my girlfriend this movie because it's one of my all-time favorites, and I think it's really hard for someone like me to comment on this kind of movie. It wasn't really made with me in mind at all. The black queer experience is really the centerpiece and the motif of this film, and I think that it's so incredibly well executed. And I think what says it best, I think Sight and Sound actually just put this in their top 100 movies of all time, and I couldn't agree more. It's such an incredibly vital, important, and necessary story, especially for the times that we live in right now. And it's couldn't have been executed in a better way. The cinematography, the acting, the screenplay, and the way that everything builds together to just show a character portrait of someone who's fractured growing up and going through life with such incredibly hard experiences and memories and feelings to go through, all combined into one lived experience. And I think that it's a necessary movie, and I'm glad it exists. And I think that if you're someone who's on the fence and kind of is like, hasn't seen a movie like this before, it kind of was one of those ones that helped me fall in love with film. So if you need something to watch, I guess anything from this section of movies that I picked for this month, I definitely would recommend this one. Then I watched Horton Hears a Who from 2008, the animated one, Jim Carrey, and someone on black tar heroin wrote this movie. I don't understand how you took the source material from the book and got this. The voice acting is ridiculous. The animation is inconsistent. And the whole story is just wacky beyond belief. I'm surprised it even held my attention for 90 minutes, but it did. And I would give it a worse score if it didn't. It's just something I think you have to see for yourself. And would I recommend you see it for yourself? I mean, do you like elephants? Then I watched The Banshees of Inisherin, and by God, I enjoyed this movie. Oh my God. I wasn't expecting a movie full of such talk of dread and lifelessness to be so full of life. I'd like to, first of all, everybody in this movie is doing a fantastic job. On the crew, the score was beautiful. The set was gorgeous. The shots were fantastic, especially given the landscape of everything. And if we're talking about the people on the screen, I would be mad if everybody who's on the screen won their Oscar. Colin Farrell was amazing. I think that he has one of the best performances of the year easily. Brendan Gleeson was fantastic. I only knew him as fucking Mad-Eye Moody, and he was lovely. Kerry Condon might deserve the Oscar over the people in Everything Everywhere All at Once, and that's one of my favorite movies ever. Kerry Condon was amazing in this movie. And Barry Keoghan is just a little guy, dude. I love that guy so much. And I just wasn't expecting this dreary type of movie to move me so much. I thought that it was just going to be kind of like a downer. It's one of those movies that gets nominated for an Oscar that's like, oh, whatever, like, I guess it's here. But I watched it, and I had such a fantastic time. It's a great little drama. It's about something that we've all experienced in life before. What happens when someone you're friends with just isn't your friend anymore? Why don't we find out? I don't know. I just thought the culture and the life in this movie is just fantastic. I loved every minute of it, and I can't actually wait until I get to watch it again. I think I might rewatch it this upcoming month. Please, if you're looking for something that you've seen on the Oscar board and you're like, I don't know what any of these movies are, give this one a shot. It's on HBO Max for free. Give it a look-see. I love this one. Then I saw Women Talking, So I shut up and listened. So anyways, I don't have a lot to say about this movie. I thought the message was fantastic. I thought it was really well acted and well written, and I think those are the things that really shine about this movie. Most of the technical aspects about it are not really that impressive at all. I'd say even it's one of the worst looking movies of the year. It's pretty gray and dreary. Obviously sets the mood, but I don't think it really helps its cause, you know what I mean? Incredibly well acted. I think that Rooney Mara specifically stood out to me. I was surprised that Jessie Buckley was getting the Golden Globe nominations over her. I loved Rooney Mara in this. And I think that it's, again, kind of like Moonlight. It's one of those necessary stories in this time. Seeing these kinds of perspectives being shared, to see that things like this are still possible in a world that we see as progressive is just, it's important to be reminded that there's a lot of work left to do. And then right after I saw Women Talking, I saw The Whale, and I was disappointed. This is one of my most anticipated ones of the year, actually. I was really excited for what this was going to be. And I was let down in pretty much every aspect of this movie except for Brendan Fraser's performance. He is almost as great as everybody is saying that he is. Everything else just really let me down. Especially, I think the screenplay is really what holds it back. I think that everybody here wants to be doing a good job, but the writing is just really bad. It's very cheesy, very corny, and at some points it's just like not fit for the mood and the tone of the movie. I would say especially it comes through in Sadie Sink's character. She's basically just playing her character from Stranger Things, and I don't think it's entirely her fault. And I think that Hong Chau's character, I thought the writing was so bad. I thought she did a bad job. I was so surprised when I saw her name come up in the Oscar nominations. Maybe it was just the writing that was so bad for her, but I just really did not like both of those characters at all. It takes place entirely in one room, so the set's like nothing to speak of. And honestly, I was left wanting more. I thought that this was a super big letdown. Again, Brendan Fraser was great. I thought that he did a good job with what he was given, but the story itself isn't exactly like moving mountains or anything. I didn't really love the conclusions they came to at the end of it. And especially the writing was the reason for that. I thought that it kind of took me out of everything. I was not moved, but I was sitting in a pretty packed theater, and everybody else seemed like they liked it, or they were at least moved by it. The final scene I thought was really good. That almost got me. But the whole lead up to that kind of took it away from me. So I was pretty let down by this one. Cha-Cha Real Smooth was the pickup that I needed after The Whale, I'll tell you that. It was super heartwarming. I've never seen a Cooper Raiff movie before, and I was just super moved by this one, dude. He's such a charming little guy. I loved the script of this movie. I thought that it was super engaging and super representative of a life similar to mine, you know what I mean? It's not something that I go through, but kind of captures that young adult, like, moving into the world after graduating from college and not really knowing where you are kind of archetype very well. It's just kind of where I am right now. Dakota Johnson is charming as per usual. Really just a great light watch. You're looking for a cute little rom-com, please give this one a watch. I'm glad that I had Apple TV Plus for a little bit. Then I rewatched The Sixth Sense. I kind of talked about last month how a movie like The Usual Suspects kind of gets worse once you've actually seen it. You kind of see some of the flaws that you might not have noticed in the screenplay or the performances, and it's just not as fun overall knowing it. And I think that The Sixth Sense is one of few movies which has a big twist and has a big ending that actually gets better upon a rewatch. I'm still floored by all of the decisions made by M. Night Shyamalan, and I can see why after a movie like this, he still has such a diehard following after basically consistently disappointing his fan base for the past, 15, 20 years. Because this movie is spectacular. The blocking and the screen work, specifically, everything that you see on the screen is incredibly well done. It's the makings of, a fantastic director, and I know that he's capitalized on it at points, but I think this is really the place where you can see it the most. The performances are fantastic, especially from child actors. You know, Haley Joel Osment's really about as good as you're going to get. Bruce Willis is great. Toni Collette is fantastic. I kind of forgot that she was in this movie until I rewatched it. But it's one of those movies where, you know, if you don't know the ending, watch it as soon as possible. Just don't even go in blind, have a great time. And if you have seen it or you have been spoiled, it's still something that you can appreciate the filmmaking of on a very fundamental level. It's easy for you to be able to notice things that were intentional from the director's point of view that were you're going to enhance your viewing. And I think that it's one of those movies that's timeless and it's going to stick and stay through the test of time. Then I watched The Wrong Trousers with Wallace and Gromit, and it was pretty good. I haven't seen any Wallace and Gromit before, and this was great. If you like a charming little animated watch, it's absolutely up your alley. It's pretty perfect. Nice length of 30 minutes. Give it your eyes and ears for a little bit. I wasn't really expecting much going into Causeway. I hadn't really heard much about Jennifer Lawrence's performance or anything, and anything that's like an Apple TV Plus exclusive is just kind of off of my radar, but we got it for 6 months, so I checked it out. And the main thing that stands out to me is Brian Tyree Henry. He was fantastic in basically everything that I've seen him in before. Atlanta, Spider-Verse, Bullet Train he was great in, and he just completely blows Jennifer Lawrence out of the water here. I don't know if it's the script or her performance on her part, but she's very reserved in this movie and likely is a character decision, but I think that as a result, Brian Tyree Henry just really elevates to a level that Jennifer Lawrence could not reach the entire movie. I was not super drawn into the relationship of the two of them, specifically because I thought Jennifer Lawrence didn't do an amazing job. Brian Tyree Henry absolutely carries this movie. It's a pretty standard script about a war veteran kind of recovering and trying to get back and finding her place at home and whether she actually wants to be there. And without Brian Tyree Henry's presence, it's just kind of a lukewarm watch. So if you're interested in seeing one of the better performances of the year, I would say give it a shot. But other than that, it's pretty average. Then I watched Triangle of Sadness. I really wanted to catch this one in the theater, but never got to. And I kind of described this movie as what the menu wishes that it was talking about. I think that the menu kind of fell apart when you looked at it deeper than the surface level. I think that it's missing something, and it thinks it's more than it is. But Triangle of Sadness really talks about interclass relationships and how wealth and status and money collide, and what it means when it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I think that watching the interpersonal relationships between all of these characters when status is present and when status is not present says a lot. It has very similar themes to something like a Parasite, although I don't think it's as well executed as Parasite. It really does comment on society in a way that I enjoyed, and I got a lot out of it. I was noticing things about how the characters interacted with each other, and if you're someone who's trying to get into like film analysis, I guess, I think this movie has a lot of surface level stuff that'll make you go, oh, that was nice. I think I got it. I got the hang of it. If you're looking for a movie like that, this is the one. It's a lot longer than I thought it needed to be. It kind of drags in the second and third acts specifically. I think the first act is pretty necessary. But it was definitely a good movie. I enjoyed myself watching it, and it's a necessary one for our time, I think. Then I ended the month watching Smile. I did this at 10 p.m. by myself in my room on the last night of the month, and it was a bad idea. I'm a scaredy cat. You guys know this. I watched it. I had my phone up here, I tilted it sideways, I moved over here, and I watched it like this. But it was good. Definitely a lot more jump scary than I was hoping for. I do really bad with that sort of thing. But the themes of it I thought were very nice. I thought the screenplay and the themes of the entire movie were pretty well done. The acting, besides the lead, it was kind of meh. The shots were really corny. Jump scares were really present. I thought it was pretty formulaic the way that it did it, and it's absolutely a product of its counterparts, like It Follows and Paranormal Activity and The Ring. But I had a good time with it. I like the message it's trying to say, and I think that the things that it does new are pretty interesting. So I hope we get some more movies similar to this. And that's what I watched this month. Yay! Woo! And here's all my ratings on the screen over there if you want to check them out. Like I said earlier, follow me on Letterboxd if you want to see my exact ratings for everything. Want to follow me over there? I'll give you a follow back. Also wanted to say that I did a lot of catching up for the Oscars coming up. I'm maybe gonna do a reaction to that, maybe not. Hoping that I can finish up what's left. Need to watch like Avatar and The Fabelmans and some stuff that I haven't gotten to, but I'm excited to actually be ready for an award season for the first time, I think, really ever. And yeah, so if you guys enjoyed this, make sure to subscribe, leave a like, give me a follow on Twitch, give me a follow on Twitter. I'm pretty active on both those sites. And hopefully I'll see you guys next month with another wrap-up. Just remember that I be watching movies.